In a world where kings ruled kingdoms and power could decide who lived and who died, God was quietly writing a story in the shadows, a story no one saw coming. And at the center of that story was a girl who never imagined she would change history. Her name was Esther. She was not born into royalty. She didn't grow up in a palace. She didn't inherit a crown. She began as a young Jewish orphan in a foreign land, raised by her cousin Mordecai, a humble man who treated her like his own daughter. In a kingdom filled with noise, Esther lived quietly, unseen, unnoticed. But God often plants his greatest warriors in small, hidden places. While Esther grew in grace, something else was happening in the palace. The king dismissed his queen Vashti, and the entire empire launched a search for a new one. Girls were taken, not invited, and Esther was among them. Imagine her fear, imagine her confusion, imagine being taken away from everything familiar and placed into a world of gold ceilings, strict rituals, and people who did not share your faith. And yet, in the midst of all this, Esther carried something no one else carried: favor, a quiet, gentle, heavenly glow that made her stand out without even trying. When the king looked at her, something in him softened. He placed the royal crown on her head. The girl who once walked dusty streets now walked marbled halls. But even in the palace, she never forgot who she was, or the God who was guiding her footsteps. What Esther didn't know was that her new position came with a hidden purpose. In the shadows of the kingdom, a man named Haman rose to power, a proud, dangerous man obsessed with respect. When Mordecai refused to bow to him, Haman's pride turned into poison. He didn't just want Mordecai punished, he wanted every Jew in the empire wiped out. He tricked the king into signing a law of destruction. A date was set. An entire people were marked for death. Fear spread like wildfire among the Jews. Homes filled with tears. Whispers of doom echoed through the streets. And in the middle of the storm, Esther's heart began to tremble. Mordecai sent her a message that shook her spirit awake. Who knows if you were made queen for such a time as this? Those words didn't just challenge her, they unlocked her. Suddenly she saw it. She wasn't taken into the palace by mistake. She wasn't crowned by chance. She wasn't hidden in royalty for comfort. She was placed there by God for a divine assignment, but it came with a risk. To save her people, she had to go before the king without being called, and in that kingdom, appearing before the king uninvited meant death unless he extended his golden scepter. Esther could have said no. She could have run. She could have protected her title, her comfort, her palace life. But she chose purpose over privilege. With trembling hands, she declared, "If I perish, I perish." That is the sound of true courage. Not the absence of fear, but moving forward even when fear shakes every bone in your body. On the day she approached the king, everything in the palace froze. Guards watched, servants whispered. Esther stepped forward with a calmness that only God could give. Her heart was racing, but her steps were steady. And then, the king lifted the golden scepter. Grace opened a door that fear said would stay closed. But Esther didn't rush. She didn't accuse Haman immediately. She waited for the right moment, guided not by panic but by wisdom. She invited the king and Haman to a banquet, then another, and at the second banquet her voice carried the weight of her destiny. She revealed her identity. She revealed the plan. She revealed the danger her people faced. The room went silent. The king's face changed. His rage burned hotter than fire. And when Esther pointed to Haman as the enemy, everything shifted. The man who had planned destruction fell into the very trap he built. The Jewish people were saved, Mordecai was honored, and what the enemy meant for evil, God turned into protection, victory, and celebration. The book of Esther is unique because it never mentions God by name, not once, and yet, his presence is everywhere, in the timing, in the favor, in the rise of Esther, in the sleepless night when the king remembered Mordecai, in the reversal of the law, in the survival of a people who carried the promise of the Messiah. God was silent, but he was never absent. Esther's story is more than ancient history. It is a reminder for every person listening. You may not understand why you are where you are. You may feel small, unseen, or insignificant. You may think your life is ordinary. But sometimes God hides purpose in the places we least expect. You don't need a perfect beginning to have a powerful destiny. You just need courage, obedience, and faith that God is moving even when he feels silent. Because sometimes the most life-changing moments are born from the quietest steps of obedience. And just like Esther, you might discover that you are exactly where God needs you to be for such a time as this.